Today, we're stepping into the mind of one of cinema's most chilling figures, John Doe. This isn't just an analysis. It's a journey into the twisted psyche of a man who saw clarity in chaos and shaped a harrowing masterpiece of morality. Through his own words, we unravel his vision, his motives, and his chilling rationale for delivering judgment upon the world. I crafted the perfect plan, a masterpiece of sin and suffering. And at its heart, I found my greatest instrument, a detective consumed by rage. With one final revelation, I shattered his world and turned him into the very embodiment of wrath. This is how I completed my masterpiece. Welcome to Movies Minded. I'm John Doe, and this is how I brought true clarity to chaos. I've watched this city rot for too long. The filth, the sin, the moral decay. It seeps into every corner of this world. People walk around blind, indifferent to the corruption festering in their souls. They live their lives without a second thought to their actions, indulging in their vices as if there will be no consequences. But I am here to change that. I am here to remind them of their sins. My mission was clear from the start, a reckoning for those who believe they can live without accountability. These people are the embodiment of humanity's worst traits. I am not just a killer. I am a messenger. The 7 deadly sins, so easily dismissed by the masses, will serve as the foundation of my work. Each sin must be punished. Each sinner must be made an example, a grim warning to the rest of them. It began with gluttony. The man was a perfect symbol of indulgence, a man who consumed endlessly, wallowing in his own excessive behavior. He disgusted me, not just for his gluttony, but for what he represented: society's acceptance of weakness, indulgence, and excess. His life was one of consumption, of constant feeding, without purpose or contribution. He was a mockery of human existence. I made sure he would choke on that excess. I forced him to eat until his body could no longer take it, until his stomach ruptured under the weight of his own gluttony. His death was not quick, nor was it painless, but it was necessary. He became a grotesque monument to the dangers of unbridled indulgence. Then there was greed. The lawyer, a man who had devoted his entire existence to amassing wealth at the expense of others, was next. He exploited the vulnerable, twisted the law to suit his own needs, and walked away richer each time. He thought his money made him invincible, but in the end, it only made him weak. I gave him a choice: to cut off a pound of his own flesh in exchange for his life, a cruel reflection of the way he had cut into others to grow his fortune. He failed. His greed couldn't save him. His pursuit of wealth was his downfall. He died in a pool of blood, a fitting end for a man who believed he could buy his way out of anything. Next came sloth. This one required patience. I kept him alive for over a year of slow decay, of his mind and body wasting away in the bed where I imprisoned him. He was a parasite on society, a drug dealer who preyed on the weak, spreading misery while contributing nothing. His apathy, his refusal to act, to live a meaningful life, made him the perfect candidate. I stripped him of everything: food, water, movement, and watched as he rotted away, his body wasting into nothingness. When the detectives found him, he was nothing more than a living corpse, a symbol of what happens when one refuses to engage with the world, to take action. He was the epitome of sloth. Lust followed shortly after. This sin required more than just punishment. It demanded a demonstration of how far human depravity could sink. The man I chose wasn't the sinner himself, but a tool, a puppet to execute the act. He was a client in a seedy brothel, a weak and pathetic man. The real sinner was a woman, a prostitute who willingly sold her body for others' gratification. She represented the depths of lust, a human reduced to nothing but flesh for consumption. I devised a weapon, grotesque and cruel, to reflect the monstrous nature of the sin. The man was forced to wear it, to carry out the act against his will. His victim, the prostitute, paid for her indulgence and lust with her life. But the man? He would live with the memory. He didn't die, but his mind broke, tormented by the horror of what he had been compelled to do. Lust had consumed both of them in different ways, and now they were bound together in that final, violent act. Then there was pride. She was beautiful, or at least she thought so. Her entire life revolved around her appearance, her vanity. She was a model, a woman who believed her physical beauty made her superior to others, and she took great pride in that. Her self-worth was tied entirely to her face, her reflection in the mirror. I offered her a choice, to live disfigured or to die. Vanity was her undoing. She chose death over a life without beauty. I made her swallow a bottle of sleeping pills after disfiguring her face. She couldn't bear the thought of living without the thing she valued most, her perfect appearance. Her pride, her arrogance, led her to her grave. Some may call me mad, but I see things clearly. The world is beyond saving. People no longer care about righteousness, about morality. The pursuit of pleasure, wealth, and power has replaced the pursuit of goodness. Goodness, in fact, is mocked. The wicked are celebrated. I am the only one who sees this, who understands that humanity has fallen too far into sin to be saved. But I am not here to save them. That is not my goal. My goal is to make them aware of their sins, to force them to confront the consequences of their actions. I am not a sadist, nor do I take pleasure in causing pain. What I do is necessary. It is a message, a warning. Each murder is a lesson in morality, a reminder that sin cannot be ignored. Society has forgotten this, but I am here to remind them. The two detectives, Mills and Somerset, they represent two sides of the same coin. Somerset, the old man, understands that the world is broken, but he has given up. He knows that there is no hope, that nothing will change, and yet he continues to live with this knowledge, paralyzed by it. He is weary, resigned. Mills, on the other hand, is blind. He believes in justice, in the righteousness of the system. He thinks he can change the world, that there is still something worth fighting for. He is naive, self-righteous, and impulsive. He cannot see the world for what it truly is. They think they are hunting me, but in truth, I am the one hunting them. From the moment I began my work, I knew these two detectives would play a part in my plan. I needed them to witness my work, to understand it. Somerset was close to understanding. He knew that the world was broken, but he was too tired to act. Mills, however, was the key. His pride, his anger, it was all too easy to manipulate. As each sin was revealed, they grew more desperate, more unhinged. Mills especially, his temper, his impulsiveness, it played right into my hands. He couldn't see the bigger picture. All he wanted was to stop me, to catch the bad guy, but he didn't understand. The final act required him to act exactly as I predicted. He needed to follow the path I laid out for him. When I turned myself in, they thought they had won. They thought the killing would stop. But the final acts were already in motion. I was in control, even from behind bars. They brought me to the desert, right where I needed them to be. The final pieces of the puzzle were in place, and Mills was walking straight into his own downfall. The last two sins, envy and wrath, were the most personal. Envy was mine. I envied Mills. I envied his simple, perfect life. His beautiful wife, his future, his naive belief in happiness. It was something I could never have. I admitted my envy to him. I confessed my sin, and that confession led to his final act. The delivery arrived, right on schedule. Inside the box was his wife's head. Tracy, she was a necessary sacrifice. But that wasn't enough. Mills needed to suffer, to truly understand the depth of his sin, of his rage. That's when I told him the final piece of the puzzle, the one thing that would push him over the edge. She begged for her life, detective, I said to him, my voice steady calm. She begged for her life, and for the life of the baby inside her. Oh, you didn't know? The words hung in the air like a dagger, twisting in his mind. Tracy was pregnant. I could see the realization tear through him, unraveling whatever fragile control he had left. His anger, his fury, it all culminated in that moment. Somerset tried to stop him, but it was futile. Mills' wrath consumed him, just as I knew it would. He became the embodiment of wrath, the final sin in my masterpiece. He shot me, just as I had planned. His soul was tainted forever. And with that, my work was complete. The 7 sins had been punished, each sinner a lesson for the world to see. Mills was destroyed, his life in ruins. Somerset was left to contemplate the futility of it all. They thought they were chasing a madman, but in truth, I was the one who brought clarity to the chaos. I wasn't seeking salvation or approval. I was seeking understanding. The world is dark, and now they see it too. My message was delivered. The 7 deadly sins were avenged, and I was the hand that delivered justice. The world is darker now, as it should be. My work is done. Wrath has taken its final form, and the world is darker, just as it should be. Thank you for watching Movies Minded. Remember, the truth is often hidden in plain sight, until someone like me reveals it. Goodbye.